In this tutorial, you will learn how to make this black pipe lamp. You will learn the fundamentals of downloading parts from an online catalog and using them for your lamp design. How to properly copy and paste, rename, and join together components so that you will be able to create your own style of lamp. We are excited to have teamed up with Autodesk Fusion to create tutorials for their YouTube channel. You can find the counterpart of this tutorial on their channel, which teaches you how to apply materials and appearances. Please consider liking and subscribing so that you don't miss future releases. Hope you enjoy this tutorial, as brought to you by the Learn It channel. So let's just take a quick tour of our lamp. We can see that there's various different parts here. We've got T's, we've got straight pieces, we've got elbows, we've got a reducer up here, we've actually got our fixture for the lamp to screw into. We've got the LED light bulb, which I have made, and hopefully I'll have a tutorial on that very soon. If you'd like to see it sooner than later, please mention that in the comments. And if it's already out, you'll see a link on the top right of your screen. We also have a couple parts over here that connect our cable. We've got a cable gland, and then we've got another fitting here to reduce from our 3/4 NPT down to a 1/2 inch. So now that we've taken a little tour, again, this is just a sample. You are more than welcome to do whatever searching out there on Google to find the lamp that you like and design it in Fusion 360. So let's get to it. So first thing, we're going to create a new design. So what I'd like to do with all my students is tell them the very first thing we always do is save it. I'm gonna call this lamp design tutorial. Now 99% of the parts that we're going to use to create our black pipe lamp are all taken from McMaster. So if we go to Insert and then McMaster Car Component, they're all taken from that. But here's the thing, McMaster has specific and specialized components that are hard to find in generic places around your town. So most of these parts actually, well, all the ones that we're going to bring up in our design today will probably be able to be found at your local home center. I've actually made 2 lamps myself where I bought all of the black pipe at the local home center. However, if you don't have one or you think it's more convenient to buy something online, I've also included links below that will show you where you can buy different items, different black pipe items online. Either way, let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is insert. We'll go back here. We're going to insert our main component. And so this is what kind of brings our entire lamp all together. So we'll call it our foundation component. So let's do that. We're going to go Insert McMaster, and right from our search menu, I'm just going to type in black pipe. There we go. And we have black pipe and black pipe fittings. So let's go black pipe fittings. And then here in our left margin, we are going to go to our pipe size. Now at local home centers, you'll find anything from 1/4, 3/8, 1/2, and 3/4. We're going to make it out of 3/4. That's going to be a pretty beefy lamp design, but it's going to last a long time and it's going to be fun to put together. So let's just stick with 3/4. You could go with 1/2 as well. It's going to be a lot less expensive for 1/2, but let's just do that, 3/4. Now, as we pick that, we can go to the first one here, low pressure iron and steel threaded pipe fittings. And then on the left, look at all the different types of fittings, the shapes that we have. And we're just going to pick our T. If we flip this upside down, well, we've got a T shape. So let's pick that. And then we're going to scroll down here. We can always make this window bigger. Let's just do that now. And here we're going to see the basic T connector. If we go down, we have a right angle T. We've got inline reducers. We've got right angle T reducers. They're slightly different. Dual T reducers. Let's just stick with the first one, T connectors, and we have 2 types of threads here. Let's just stick with NPT. These are found most often, and we can also use them to connect some basic other components which we'll need to finish our lamp. So we just click on the part number. And now for our CAD file. If there's no CAD file here, we cannot download it. There are many parts within McMaster Car Catalog which we cannot download. However, if there is a CAD file, well, this is great news for us. We can download it. But We're not running SolidWorks here. We're running Fusion 360. So what file do we pick? Well, most find that 3D step files are what is best to be used, and that's what I like using. So make sure to click 3D step and download. So once we download this, we can change the angle. And again, if we were to look at our original lamp, this has a slight angle, and we're going to put it at 70 degrees and go OK. Now, we have taught this before. We can actually move this part around. So we're going to capture the position. We can still move it around. So if we're moving it around and we want it to go back to its original spot, we just go revert. Since we don't want this moving, it's going to be one of the foundation parts of our lamp. We have to go right click and ground. You'll see a little pin here beside our component, and now as long as I click on it and I try and move it, it won't be able to be moved. So before we move on, let's just take a look here at our part number. This part number tells us nothing about the part other than the part number out of McMaster-Carr. However, if we're going to go to our local home center, well, we're going to have to use terminology that they understand. So what I like to do is just encourage you to think, and this comes with experience as well, but I'm just going to call it a 3/4 inch T black pipe fitting. There we go. If you were to take this to the local home center, they would be able to understand what you're talking about. But if it's just the number from McMaster-Carr, they would have no idea what you're talking about. So try and use terminology that someone else would be able to understand. So the next item for our lamp are going to be these straight pieces right here. And they're threaded on either end so that we can actually thread it into our connectors. So let's do that. They're 4 inches long. So we're going to go back to McMaster-Carr. Again, I'm just going to make this bigger for the sake of those tuning into this tutorial. So we're going to say black pipe. And instead of picking fittings, we're going to pick black pipe. We'll pick the first one here. Pipe size is going to be 3/4 again. And we're just going to scroll on down and look at what we have. 3/4 NPT. And we're going to find the 4-inch length. You can see length right here, 4 inch. Let's select that. And again, we have 3D step file. So let's download it. And don't worry about position right now. Let's just go OK. Now, sometimes with Fusion, this is a little bug that I've been finding. If this happens where your part disappears, no matter what you do here. Oh, there we go. Okay, sometimes that works. We can just make it invisible and then visible. If not, just activate your component and go back to your master assembly and activate that, and it should come back on your screen. We can click and drag this off to the side. Don't worry about orienting it. That's what joints are for. So we're going to go joint. Now, here is something my students were having a difficult time with, is where do you join this? Well, if we were to join on our face here, and again, there's many ways of doing this. Just to summarize, we can hover over the face, press Command or Control, depending if we're running Mac or Windows. If I hold down Command, I can select the middle point. If I don't hold down Command, that point will disappear. Or I can click the face, it turns blue, but all of the different snap points are still located on that face, and now I can pick the center. But let's just say I pick that, and I pick this point right there. Well, what's the problem? They're not actually connected in like they would be in real life. So we can't select that point on our pipe to join. What's the point that we need to pick? Let's go back to joint, and the shortcut, everyone, is J. We can see that right there. So J for joint. Now, I need to pick this very bottom circle right here. As I do so, I can't show you, but you can see that the snap point is in the middle of the part. If I hold down Command, there's the snap point. It should be in the center of our part. But look at, if I pick the wrong point, look at where my snap points are. It's off on the side. That won't help us. We need to pick this line with the snap point in the middle. And now I'd be able to pick this face, center, click again. Sometimes our pipe flips the other way. If that's the case, we just go down to our joint dialog box. We're going to flip it. And there we have it. So another principle that we're going to use here, eventually I'm just going to design this. You're going to see me finish it almost in its entirety, but just to talk about some of the principles. Let's go up to our naming convention first. We're going to call it 3/4 inch, and here we're going to call it straight black pipe, and just call it straight black pipe. There we go. Now a principle here is if we want to copy it, we need to go right click, copy, and there's our shortcut copy. We can just right click on our screen and go paste. And as we do so, look at what happens. We've got straight black pipe 1, straight black pipe 2. Every time we paste it, it's going to add an incremental number to the next in the series, which makes it very easy to find what we're looking for. So let's just move that pipe off to the side. And we're going to do the exact same thing. Join, make sure we pick the right spot. And we're going to pick this face, the center point, flip it. Oh, sorry, there we go, flip it. And we're well on our way to making this thing work out really nice. Again, we're at 70 degrees right here. If we look back at our lamp, we've got other T's here which are in line horizontally. So let's go back there. We're just going to copy our T's. If we're trying to find a specific item in our browser, we can just click on it and look what happens. We have these dashed lines, these angled dashed lines over here. That's the part that we want to copy. So right click, copy, right click, paste, and we're just going to do 2 of them. Okay, right click, paste again. So now we have fitting 2 and fitting 3. We're going to click fitting 2, move it off to the side, fitting 3, move it off to the side, and let's join these now. So here we're going to do the same thing. Pick the circle on our male pipe there. I'm going to pick this guy right there. And let's see if we go okay. Well, obviously this is not lined up properly. So now we're getting some issues. Let's go here to edit. Now that should not be doing that. So let's just go back in time here. Okay. So that shouldn't be moving. Why is it doing that? Okay. Let's move. Oh, yes, we have to move. Okay, so here's a good lesson. I clicked on the pipe first and then our T fitting. Remember the lesson here is when we're joining, we move this to that. In English, we say this to that. We never say that to this. So we move this to that. This floating piece to the one that we want stationary. So again, move this to that and it won't mess up on us. There we go. And here we can just adjust our angle. I'm going to change it. And if we want to make it right, we go -70. So if this pipe was 70, we want to go -70 to make it horizontal. There we go. And let's join the other side from there to... See right here, I'm picking the wrong snap point. I need to move over to our circle so that the snap point is in the center of our pipe. There we go. And here as well, I need to make sure it is horizontal. So we're at 70 degrees. There we go. We're well on our way. So quickly, I am going to copy and paste these straight pipes. We want to make 4 of them. If we look back at our lamp, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's quickly do that. And again, if we want to quickly paste, I'm just going to go Command V, Command V, Command V, and that quickly pastes those items. So move those off to the side and let's join them together. Okay, so as you can see, all of our joints are working out really good so far. So the next thing that we need to add are these elbows, the 90-degree elbows over here. So let's go back to McMaster and find those elbows. There we go. In our shape, we can just pick 90-degree elbow. And it's good to familiarize yourself with different types of fittings here. But let's go to our elbow. And there we go, NPT female. And here I'm not even going to worry about orienting it. I just want to go OK. Let's not worry about renaming it right now because I'm going to show you something that's really cool. We're just going to go right click, copy, Command V or Control V. Okay, 1, 2, 3 more. We've got 4 of them. Now, because we've copied and pasted, we can right click. We're going to call this 3/4 inch elbow black pipe fitting. Now look at all the others in our series here. Because we've copied and pasted them, if I hit enter, they all update correspondingly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's pick number 1. I'm just going to move those off to the side in their locations, and let's assemble. Well, would you look at that? It's coming along very well. So at this point, it's good to save. Now, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. I just looked at an image that I really liked, a type of lamp design on Google that I really liked, and I just created it from there. I guessed at the lengths, and so that's what you can do too. So now we've got another, this is just a short piece. I think it's only 1.5 inches. And this one over here is 10 inches long, and then we've got another T. So let's download our 1.5 inch length and then our 10 inch length as well. And I think this one, we're gonna just call this, I wanna make it a little shorter actually, maybe 6 inches long. So we've got 1.5, 10, 6 inches, let's go there. And I just realized I forgot to call it our 4-inch straight black pipe. So let's do that now. There we go. Okay, so we've got our 1.5. Let's download our 10-inch. We're going to do the same thing here. See there, it disappeared. We can just activate it, activate our main assembly, and it should reappear. So we can copy and paste our text as well. So Command C. And then Command V, and we're going to call this 10-inch straight black pipe fitting. And we'll do the 6-inch length as well. Okay, so we're just going to hide those for now. Remember, if we want to move this, if we're finding it hard to grab the part that we want to move, we can just click on it in our browser. It will turn blue, and that will be the part that moves for us. So let's assemble this. We'll put another T there. We go back to our T fitting, copy, paste. So if you're ever unsure about the angle, just go to the proper face. Let's go to our back, and here it's the proper angle. So again, if we're unsure about where this should be positioned, there we go. This one's going to be at 0. Sometimes it will say 90 or 180 depending on how we join it. But there we go. All right, let's go to the 10-inch here. Make sure we make it visible. Great. Now we're going to put our elbow right there. Now the 6-inch piece. Another elbow. Okay, at this point, let's save our lamp. Now you can see that we have a ton of the little symbols here for our joints. We can just turn those all off by making them invisible. There we go. Let's go back to our lamp here. Now we have another short piece, and we have what's called a reducer. And then we have the fitting for our light bulb to screw into. So let's just use our 1.5 inch length, and then we'll have to get this reducer right here as well. So let's do that. And this is where it's very handy to use a good naming convention for our parts. So right click, copy, right click, paste. We'll join that. Okay, so before we find our reducer, we have to look at the actual size of this little lamp housing here. So what we can do is, right now, I believe this one, you know what, I should go to the lamp. That's the right one. So if we zoom in here, the reducer that I found is 1.25 to 3/4, and that depends on the size of this little lamp socket. The reason is when I created a lamp in the past, I ended up just using a little bit of epoxy in here to connect the lamp socket into the reducer. Now this would be really good if you went to your local home center and you found this lamp socket. You could always compare the size of it to the reducer to make sure to grab the right reducer size. However, we're just going to follow suit with this tutorial. Again, in real life, this lamp socket, I don't know what they're selling at the local home center. So you just have to compare. You're going to have to grab this package. You'll probably have to buy it ahead of time in order to open up the package and then compare it with the actual black pipe. The lamp socket is in a package. The reducer, they're rarely in individual packages. But anyways, later on, you can just epoxy them together. Once you've run your cable, put a little bit of epoxy so that if you mess up, you can always remove it easily. Rather than, filling this entire thing with epoxy and then it's a disaster to try and fix it if needed. So let's do that again. We've got a 1/4 to 3/4 reducer. So let's find that. So there's a straight reducer right there. That's what we're looking for. And we want to go to 3/4. We actually want to go 1/4 to 3/4. So always go largest to smallest. That's the one. Step file. Now, just to clarify, I'm sure there's going to be a ton of comments out there. They're going to say, well, how come you didn't use a female to male reducer? Why did you use this little part right here, the straight piece? Well, absolutely. You can do anything you want. This tutorial is just showing you basically how to make this sort of lamp, and you can find whatever fittings. There's a million different types of fittings out there. Just make it work. However you want to design it is totally up to you. So let's make sure we rename that as well. We're going to go 1 and 1/4 to 3/4. So now we want to add our lamp socket. So let's go back to McMaster-Carr and we can just type that in, lamp socket. And this doesn't look like the same lamp socket, but that's okay. Let's just pick it anyways and look what comes up right there. So we can use one with a knob, with a pull chain. Let's do knob here. And this should have a step file, which it does. Excellent. Let's download it. Move that off to the side. And now let's assemble. And I'm just going to pick any spot on it over here. Probably this. Make sure that the snap point selects the inside of our part rather than over here, which our snap point will pick, one of these points. But make sure to pick something with a diameter or some sort of curve where it will pick the center point. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing over here. I don't know why it's not moving for us here. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's flip it. Great. Okay, so I'd probably, just to make it more aesthetically pleasing here, I'll move the knob off to the side. And again, I want to stress this, that this is probably not going to work in real life, but we'd have to find the proper reducer in order to fit with this part. And I can probably put this in just a little bit right there. There we go. We can still operate the lamp. And again, this is going to be full of epoxy or some other way in order to attach those two together. Now, in a link below, there's actually some reducers that have a built-in lamp socket into it. So I'll put that down in the description below as well. But sometimes they're quite expensive and it might be a whole lot cheaper just to get the socket and the reducer and epoxy them together. But this is totally up to you, whatever you want to do. Let's go okay. So now if we go to the next part of our lamp, which is right over here. It is a component or an item that we can connect our cable to. Obviously, we want the cable to be snug so that if it gets pulled, it's not going to rip out of our lamp. But we want it to be held nice and tightly, and this is called a cable gland. Now, as we look here, our cable gland is actually quite a bit smaller. And if we go to our lamp, I'm going to go down to the cable gland here, and we're going to isolate it. There we have it. Okay, so our cable gland, which we'll download in a second, if I expand this, you'll see that it has an extra body. Actually, it has 5 bodies in it. Well, this is actually a nut here, and we use this in order to fasten the cable gland to some sort of thin wall material. But since we don't need to use this nut, we can get rid of it, and this is an NPT thread. This will screw right into our black pipe, no problem. Let's just look at our other bodies here. Let's turn that off. Body 4, this is a solid piece of plastic. And then we have the front nut, which as we tighten this, it clamps down on our little grommet here, and it tightens down on the cable itself. Then we've also got an O-ring, which makes it watertight, and we've got that. So we can just toss this nut or just forget about it. But this is actually a 1/2 inch NPT. If we go to right click here and isolate, we can see that we have also a reducer in size. It goes from 3/4 female, or sorry, 3/4 male to a 1/2 inch female. So let's find that. Going to go back to our lamp design, and this one we can just leave with that type of naming convention. That's fine. Insert McMaster car. Let's go back to black pipe. Fitting. We want a 3/4. And again, even though this shows an elbow, this is for all of our fittings. So we're going to click on that. And here we have a bushing. So we want straight reducing adapter with hex body. Perfect. And this is going to be 3/4 to 1/2. And I'll show you again why we're reducing it to a 1/2 inch. We'll look at the cable glands in a moment and show you why we need to do this. Or just move that off to the side and we can join this right away. Well, let's rename it first of all. We'll call this 3/4 inch male to 1/2 inch female reducer, black pipe fitting, and we can join that again. So here we're going to actually pick, let's pick that face and then the center point. Pick that face, the center point. They should mate up. There we go. Okay, and now we can add the cable gland. So we'll just type cable gland, and there we have all sorts of different options. Let's just pick the first one. And here we go. We're going to pass by our cord OD and our knockout trade size, our material, our shape, and we are going to find our thread type, NPT. Pick our first one, and look what we have over here. So our NPT threads, we've got a pipe size of 3/8, 1/2, 3/4, but this is our cord OD. So you can see that with the 3/4 inch NPT, our cord diameter is 0.35 to 0.63, or we can even get bigger than that, 0.51 to 0.71. Those are really big cables. So that's why we're going down to a 1/2 inch NPT. Actually, it'd probably even be better if we went down to a 3/8 NPT pipe size, but this is just showing you that we can think ahead. We can look at McMaster and find the right parts for the right job. But let's pick this 1/2 inch here. The cable size will be a little bit smaller in diameter. We're going to pick that part, step file, download, and because we've got the nut over here in the way, we're just going to expand that in our browser, find the body. Again, if we don't know which body it is, we can just single click. It will show up in our browser with the staggered angled lines below it, and we can just hide it or go remove. What happens if we go delete? It will delete the entire item, the entire part there. So we want to go remove, and it will just remove that individual body. We'll actually put it in our timeline as well. So let's mate these together now. Pick that face, then the center point, and over here as well. And there we have it. So this is our completed lamp. Now we'd also like to just put in our light bulb as well. So to do that, I actually spent quite a bit of time making a light bulb, and here it is, the E26 LED light bulb. We're going to insert that into the current design. Again, just move that off to the side. I'm going to close the data panel, and we can joint this together as well. So there we have it, our finished black pipe lamp design. I think this is looking pretty cool myself. However, on the internet, there are so many different amazing designs out there. There's ones that are shaped in little characters. There's others that can be incorporated into shelving or put on the wall. The design possibilities are endless. We would really love if you were to make some designs and send them to us. Send them to us at our email. You can find that on our About tab for this channel, or you can send it to our Facebook page as well. We'd love to post things like that so that we can get the word out of the amazing designs that our subscribers and our viewers are creating. The next step of this process is again to add appearances. We add appearances before we do an actual render of our item. If you'd like to see how to change appearances, again, we are so happy that we have teamed up with Autodesk Fusion in order to work along with them and produce some tutorials. So you can click on the link on the top right of the page or in the description below to go to that next tutorial to see how you can apply appearances to make this more lifelike and real. If you would like to see how to create that LED light bulb, please comment in the description below. It takes a long time to make these tutorials, so I want to make sure that these tutorials are something that you will actually enjoy and benefit from. And for our current members, both on Patreon and YouTube, we're happy to send the full models that have been created on our channel here for all of our tutorials to our members. Thank you so much for being a member. We really appreciate your generosity and kindness. So thanks for tuning in. If you have benefited at all from these tutorials, please consider liking, subscribing, hitting that notification bell. And again, if you love this channel, we would really appreciate if you were to consider becoming a member or buying some merchandise or anything like that to help support us in our endeavors to produce more tutorials. Thanks again for tuning in. Hope to see you soon again on the Learn It channel.